Number 2 Auburn took down number 12 Kentucky today in Auburn Arena, 80-71. Doug, I'm going to you first on this one, man. What do you make of these Tigers?
Well, listen, I got a chance, guys, to see Auburn against Alabama in a win a week ago, and then in person, and then I saw Kentucky in a comeback win against Texas A&M this week, and I was impressed by both teams. I mean, like, look, Ty Washington getting hurt, we don't really have a true answer for who's the better team because Kentucky was dominating the game a little bit. It was the first half, it's tale of two halves. Auburn had some foul trouble. Things can settle down. But in the first half, Kentucky was the better team. Ty Washington gets hurt. In the second half, Auburn was the far better team. If we talk about Auburn, obviously Jamari Smith, I think are we all in agreement that he's the presumptive number one pick?
Number one. Yes. I'm there now. I wasn't, but I'm there now. I fought it for probably a good month.
What changed?
I think that he can do everything. And part of it was I didn't know if his perimeter shot was one of those where sometimes you get off to a good start at the beginning of a season and you don't know. And then you see that like his form, the ball comes off his hand the same way. He makes it consistently and he does everything else. He's just got to put on some weight and rebound at a higher level. But again, the kid does everything. I mean,
the big thing for me, Jeff, was his defense. I didn't realize that he was going to guard the way that he's been guarding here the last couple of weeks. Yeah, he plays hard. He really guards. And as Bruce told us, Doug, he's got some junkyard dog in him too.
Well, there's a lot to it. And I think seeing in person against Alabama, and I was sitting next to two of the most known general managers in the NBA. When you're doing radio and you're radio as an analyst, it's an awesome gig because there's not a lot to it, right? And so I'm actually having a conversation with these guys while the game is going on. And they were like,
way to do your job. Way to do your job well.
I did my job well. No one else would know. I'm just telling you guys. I mean, it's just.
Are you writing notes? Are you writing notes as you're talking? Like what?
Well, no.
How are you doing this?
No, during breaks. Okay. During breaks, I'm sitting next to one of them, and there's another one right next, and they're actually two guys I've known for a long time. And then, during the game, like we're just sitting there reacting. He had a move in the first half where he came down. Again, this is the Alabama game, and he crossed over. He goes to his left hand, and he makes kind of a runner in the lane, and everybody's like, "Wow!" And then the second half, he had like a Dirk fadeaway. But what was really impressive was it got to 6. And they run a lot of elbow ISOs for him. Elbow ISO is something that they really do a ton in the NBA for guys like Kevin Durant. And he like looked at Pearl and looked at everybody else and like held his hand up and they got him the ball and he went and got fouled. But it was like hey, you jerks, give me the ball. I got this. Now he got fouled and he missed both free throws, but it was more like if you've met him, he's a really bright kid, but he's not one of these like egomaniac,
not at all.
Personality, precedes him coming in the room. It was impressive. The guy you're talking about that shot an unreal percentage for how good a shooter he is, that's the Derek Williams, right? Remember Derek Williams last year at Arizona, where like he shot like 60% from 3, and you're like, he's not that good a shooter, is he? Right? And the reality is he's not. This kid is now where his numbers are. If you look at the analytics, he takes a ton of mid-range shots, and he's not a great mid-range shooter. So today you saw a lot of catch and shoot. And then he can obviously get to the back. So I think the mid-range is the spot where you can improve the most, but I love him. I do. And I like this team a lot. And Walker Kessler is a dynamic rim protector. He's also fantastic on the roll lobs and playing in the dunker spot lobs. And then they got some junkyard dogs in their point guard position. So and
KD Johnson, who's a junkyard dog.
They got like 3 of them.
I know.
Wendell's a junkyard dog too, man. Those guys, They did roll up their sleeves and get after it. Now, look, I like Kentucky a lot. I mean, I really, really do. They changed dramatically without Ty, but Oscar's a beast. You got an elite shooter. You got a good little point guard. He's a little bit too much pass first. And obviously, Auburn watched that A&M tape and trapping him late on ball screens. He still gets kind of lost on it. And we'll see Wheeler, how he plays in big games. Because let's be honest, Georgia, there weren't a lot of games that mattered. Right? Games that matter are different. Every possession, every turnover matters. And no cheering, Dowster. No cheering. But
I'm keeping it together pretty well right now. Come on, I'm keeping it together pretty well. I do want to say this though. You mentioned Walker Kessler. To me, he is the guy that brings everything together for this group, right? You can get out and pressure defensively because you know you have that rim protector there that's going to erase anything that comes to the basket. You can't stay home on shooters because when you run ball screens offensively, because he's coming to the basket, you throw the ball up, he's going to catch everything and dunk everything right there. So he makes everything else on this team work. Now, he's not the most hyped guy. That's Jabari Smith. And he's not the guy that everybody loves. That's Katie Johnson. And he's not the guy that has kind of like the best highlights, so to speak. That's Wendell Moore. He's the explosive dude. But I mean, Jeff, Walker Kessler is the keystone, right? He's the guy that makes everything work and interlock together.
And the other part of it is like Oscar's not used to going up against a guy like Walker Kessler, right? I mean, he's not. He's used to being able to just overpower dudes. And Oscar was good today. He's really improved in terms of being able to score around the basket. I felt like at West Virginia, he was just kind of a junkyard dog type guy who really wasn't much skill. It was all athleticism and power. But again, Walker Kessler doesn't look like he'd be a big time shot blocker. But he is.
Why
not really? I mean, it's Hunter Dickinson. Like you look at them both and you're like, big plotting white dude.
Well, so this is what's changed in college basketball. You know, forever they've had the verticality rule, and now they actually call it as a verticality rule. Now you can actually, and he's great at it. Now I will tell you, and Bruce is going to join us, so I don't know if he'll say anything, but you know, look, there were some guys in the program, not coach. There were some guys in the program that were early in SEC play, like kind of a little soft to us, right? And then the Alabama game, he was in foul trouble and he was just kind of a mess. Today, he kind of took over. Today, he was really, really impressive. And I mean, look, if you're great defensively at the point and you're great defensively at the rim, that's a great start. Then you got length and you have Jabari, who I think impressed all of us with his defensive toughness and acumen today. And they have some dudes that get after it. That's championship caliber defense. So yeah, Walker he was great, man. And this is a crew that it's hard to imagine. Like for the Auburn thing, just didn't hit for a while, and now they nearly won a national championship a couple years ago, and then last year they're out of the tournament, and now you're looking like they're my number one team in the country, and should be a favorite to get to the Final Four.
It's crazy, crazy to me that Bruce Pearl, when he took this thing over, wow, look at that. 49ers with a win. Anyway, crazy to me that when Bruce took this over, you felt like, all right, maybe he could get him into a situation where they could make the tournament, like, I don't know, 3 out of every 4 years, get in, maybe make a Sweet 16. You know, it was a dormant program. I mean, let's face it, like Jeff Lebo was terrible. Tony Barbee, you thought could take it over, maybe get it going because he was a Cal disciple. At that point, we didn't know most of the Cal assistants haven't worked out.
There it is. I was waiting for the Cal shots.
What? I'm being real. No, I listen, I'm going to say it the way it is. And the other crazy part, Bruce Pearl has somewhat had Cal's number a little bit in big games, right? Like I was there in 2008 when it was 1 versus 2, Tennessee against Memphis, and Pearl beat him there. Then a couple of years ago, to get to the Final Four, Bruce beats Cal. And now I feel like they're more in an even playing field this year. I don't know if it's going to sustain itself. I don't know if Bruce is going to be able to get the Jabaris. Probably not. But ultimately, why
wouldn't he be able to get the Jabaris?
Well, if they,
I don't got Jalen Green. He would have gotten Jalen Green last year, so he can do it. Why wouldn't he be able to do it? Especially,
I mean,
winning,
bro.
If they keep winning,
legal.
and they keep
everything's legal now. I'm not like right. It just comes down to whether or not and you know that team. What 4 or 5 starters are from Atlanta, and it's not like whoever they hire at Georgia it's going to change that dramatically. It just isn't. I mean,
just
look,
don't know. Again, I don't know.
I don't either.
He's got the number one pick, Doug. Like, he's got the number one friggin' pick, 1, 2, or 3, whatever he goes.
He's not gonna Goodman. He's not gonna have the number one pick every year.
No,
but he if he mixes that in a couple times with guys like Jared Harper and Bryce Brown and builds something that's sustainable, the years where he does get these number one picks and he does get these All-Americans and he does get these guys that are going to go high in the draft, those are the years when all of a sudden it goes from, okay, Auburn is this good top 25 program that some years is going to be top 10 to, okay, yes, they can be number one in the country. They can win a national title, right? They're always going to have that ceiling as long as he's here and he's able to get these guys. But listen, we've kept Bruce waiting long enough. That's the guy you all want to hear from. It's not us. So let's get to that interview with Bruce Pearl here right now. Welcome on to the field of 68 After Dark, fresh off of a win over Kentucky in Auburn Arena. The one and only Auburn head coach, Bruce Pearl. Bruce, what's going on, man? Congrats on the win.
Rob, it's great to be with you and your partners, two guys that I know really, really well. Jeff and I, we work together on XM radio. Neither one of us had done any radio. I just got fired, and I managed to work with Jeff and not get fired again, which is a good thing.
It was good. That was about 10 years ago, Bruce. We are on XM radio right now. And
that's awesome.
So I've kind of come full circle a little bit. You have taken this program to a completely different level than anybody thought was possible. I mean, come on. You should be number one when the new poll comes out on Monday morning. Whether you are or not, it probably doesn't matter. What was this win like? Because you had Kentucky come in. And I was there a few years ago when you had Kentucky come in, and it was a hell of an atmosphere. This one looked even better and more important of a victory.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, both teams got great players. It's the sum of our parts. We just might have a couple more. Everybody obviously contributes. Not often does something so hyped live up to the expectations. I think this did live up to the expectations. We got all the students, managed to get them all in. They slept out overnight. They're always lined up 4 or 5 hours before game, but they've never lined up the night before. And believe it or not, it was a cold night here in Auburn. I'm happy for the kids. They got a chance. You want to be the best? You got to play against the best. Kentucky certainly is, as good as anybody in our league, and we took care of business.
Okay, so Bruce, you and I talked a little bit on text, getting ready for the game. Coming into it, what were your thoughts on how you wanted to play against them defensively and how you wanted to attack them offensively?
Yep. Doug, watching Texas A&M, we play like them without the zone pressure. So look, our drop back defense was okay. There's nothing wrong with our drop back defense. It was our offense in the first half was lousy, and we were turning the ball over, and they got 22 points off turnovers, and they got offensive rebounds off of that. Once we stopped turning the ball over, we were fine. They only turned us over one time in the second half, and we scored 51 points, and we shot, really well. Look, right now Kentucky's playing really fast. If you can keep off the boards and stop them in transition and kind of keep in front, you can beat them.
Bruce, I wanted to ask you about Walker Kessler, because I don't think that he gets enough credit for bringing everything together. What is it about his presence and his development this year that has allowed him to take a step forward?
Guys, he's the best player in college basketball in the air. Like, basketball players spend time in the air, and nobody ever talks about it. The ability to be vertical and block shots and hang, obviously 7-1. But a lot of dudes are not leaving the feet in traffic around the paint. They're just not. And they don't catch it and they don't finish it because they're afraid they're going to, what's going to happen when they come down. He's able to jump. He's willing to land. He's a tough kid. He's got great hands. When the opponent wants to stick on Jabari Smith, it doesn't take it's more of a geometry question. Put Jabari in a corner, send Walker to the rim, put a guard like Wendell Green that can get it to him. It's virtually unguardable. It is. And doesn't matter what you do.
Bruce, you asked us before this started, what was noticeable, what we saw.
Yeah,
the biggest thing
what did you see?
The biggest thing I saw, which I haven't seen before, is you were as talented as Kentucky, that there wasn't a big talent gap, and there has been every other time I've seen you play against them. How much of a difference is that?
Huge, Jeff. And that's really true. You know, I don't need to out-coach anybody this year. I don't. Our guys are talented and we're deep. Now, that talent's got to buy in. They got to buy into being unselfish. And so if you look at our roster, a lot of guys played a lot of minutes. At the power forward spot, I got Jabari Smith and Jalen Williams. There's no one in the country that has two players better at that big guard power forward spot. And then Walker Kessler and Dylan Cardwell. There's two guys at every position. They were recruited the right way, knowing that they weren't going to be putting up big numbers. And I would say we are as talented as anybody in the country.
Okay, so let's talk about Jabari. Well, I mean, look, he's remarkable, really, really remarkable to watch. So we were Goodman and Rob and I were all texting the comparison thing. Okay, you've had him for a lot longer than anybody. You've seen him a lot more than anybody else. Who is he? Who's your mind you have? What's he going to look like as he evolves?
Yeah, Doug, it's a guaranteed no-brainer NBA All-Star player. And look, I had Tobias Harris, and I told people, I said, Tobias Harris is going to play in this league a long, long time, and he's going to be right there as that last guy that doesn't quite make an NBA All-Star roster, but he's going to be incredibly productive. And Jabari's got another level. And part of the reason is he is as good a jump shooter in college basketball as I've seen at his size. I mean, I've seen other great jump shooters. It comes off his hand the same way every time. Now, listen, the last couple of days, Jabari hadn't shot it great. Didn't shoot it great at Georgia and turned the first one down today. I'm like, uh-oh, what's up? It's 7 defensive rebounds. He guarded his yard. He got to the foul line a little bit. Look, we won today. Jabari Smith didn't have his best game. And that's a really, really good thing. He's got toughness because his dad was a big, strong, physical / dirty player at LSU. And he wears that.
Yeah.
That's a bad man.
Yeah.
Jabari's got that DNA in him. He does. And look, he is unselfish. He is excited about his teammates getting credit as he is.
So I need to ask you about Katie Johnson. My guy, Terrence Oglesby, says he runs on nightmare fuel. I've said repeatedly that he is the perfect player for you, Bruce, the perfect player to fit into the way that you want to play. I know we're not supposed to say talk about, but just talk about Katie Johnson. I mean, I love watching that kid play.
Somebody asked me today, he said, Coach, what do you think Katie's thinking? I was like, are you serious? Are you asking me what I think he's thinking? I have no freaking clue what he's thinking. He giveth and he taketh away. But there's got to be trade-offs. I think if you love him, if you don't try to change the kids, don't change them. Wendell Green and Zeb Jasper are two completely different point guards. They play the same position. Let Wendell be Lendell. Let Zeb be Zeb. Mix them in. Don't try to change Katie Johnson. He's the Tasmanian devil out there, okay? He's a dangerous man. He's going to take some shots. You go, oh. But you know what?
Yes.
He's going to make some shots too. And he's confident. And there are times he'll make a shot and he'll look over me. He'll kind of, I don't even know what he's saying. But it's probably, would you please get me the ball again? Coach, trust me.
All right, Bruce, listen, before we let you go out, it's going to be like the old days. I'm going to let you take us out. Field of 68 after dark here on Sirius XM Radio, channel 84. All right. I want you to do it. Let's see if you remember what we taught you 10 years ago.
Field of 68 after dark right here on XM Sirius Radio. We'll be right back after these messages.